Around a week ago in my third installment of Techno Fan Theory Concepts, I briefly went over an origin known as the Phoenix origin concept for Technoblade. Now, in that video I went over the basic details of all the basic abilities to the origin itself, but I also mentioned the fact that there's a massive bit of information that the creator gave for each power, and how they work in context to the player. Today we're going to be covering this Phoenix origin all on its own to give its own special little spotlight for the massive wealth of detail that it has. And as normal, the link will be in the description for you down below to go check out yourself. Before we get started, I just want to thank you guys massively for 10,000 subscribers. We passed it earlier today, and it's just highly appreciated that it happened right on my birthday. With that being said, make sure to go down and subscribe right now if you haven't already, to make sure that you're in there before the first 20,000 people subscribe to this channel. Either way, enough shilling, let's actually get started. Since I've been through this all before, I'll let the past me explain the original basic levels of the pros and cons for you. Flying from the pages of mythology, the Phoenix is a legendary firebird that never truly dies. Running through the neutral ability, you have Rebirth. At the full size, the player has 5 hearts. Only in this form they can use Flight and Ascent. If they lose 5 hearts, they shrink to their reborn form. This form is 1 block tall, uses Glide, and only has 3 hearts. The player returns to full size at sunrise, or if they die at their smaller size. Rejuvenation. At sunrise, player returns to full size if they were formerly at the half size. Running through the pros and cons, we got the pros of Flight. Has red and gold phoenix wings. Ascend. Can launch into the air every 30 seconds when the player is at full size. Essentially similar abilities to the Elytron. Gliding. Slow fall and higher jump when the player is at half size. Radiant Call. Fully heals every single player and mob within a 12 block radius every 3 minutes. And Helios Blessing. Under direct sunlight, the player has 50% increased speed on land and in the air. They remain at this normal speed within the water though. Running down the cons list, we got Landing. Takes more kinetic damage when at full size. Golden Diet. All foods restore 2 hunger and 1 saturation except for golden apples, golden carrots, and god apples, which function like they normally would. Fiery Death. The blocks that the player dies on ignites, potentially causing the loss of drop items. Water Weakness. Unless they are in direct sunlight, the player has 50% decreased speed in the water. Under sunlight, they remain at normal speed. As well as a decrease in hearts, only 8 hearts overall. At full size you have 5, and then at smaller size you have 3. So now that you've been ran through the original concepts and the ideas between the pros and cons and everything around this idea of an origin, let's run through the further information described by the user / creator of this origin concept in itself. It's interesting to see Techno associated with PvP, but I wanted to suggest an option that didn't focus on that. This origin isn't designed specifically for PvP, nor does it greatly hinder it. The abilities can still be useful and interesting outside of battle while altering regular gameplay. Our goal was to create a concept that implemented mechanics Techno loves: fight, speed, the Radiant Orb, etc., and completely change gameplay. Ideally, this origin could lead to a lot of cool plot and characterization ideas. Here's an explanation behind each pro and con. Phoenixes are connected to overcoming death and entering a new era. Rebirth is at the core of the Phoenix myth. When a Phoenix dies, it is reborn from the ashes as a baby and lives again. This origin acts similarly to Slime's and shrinks half its size, losing 5 hearts. Small form is too young to fly and has only 3 hearts, but is capable of everything else that the Fiends can do. I'm not sure if Techno would like this aspect, but he wants something gameplay changing, and Nikki really wants to see a small Techno. We should always try to give Nikki what she asks for. Phoenixes are heavily associated with Aphelios and Apollio, the Greek sun gods, so Dawn returns to the player to full strength and size. Only the sunrise and respawning can cause rejuvenation. It doesn't matter if the player loses their adult form in the afternoon or late at night. They must wait until sunrise. Helios Blessing causes direct sunlight to give 50% speed boost on land and in the air. This only happens if the player is not underneath ceiling or clouds. Techno's plane spiral revolves around a lot of speed, and he's talked about how much he loves it in multiple videos, so I think he'll be enjoying going fast. Flight and Ascent are basically like the Elytron, but without the increased damage. When flying in sunlight, the player can go 50% faster. These pros are offset by their increased kinetic damage, and the younger form is too young to fly, but it can jump high enough and slow fall by gliding. This form has an average kinetic damage instead of the bonus kinetic damage, and the wings would be gold and red to match the traditional image of a phoenix in flame. Techno always seems to enjoy having a chance to fly, so the wings drew me to the Phoenix in the first place. The Radiant Call is listed under Pro, but it can also be a blessing and a curse at the same time. One of Phoenix's primary traits is the ability to heal. In Myths, they use this to help their allies, but humans also took advantage of them. Using Radiant Call, the player can save themselves, their pet, and their allies. However, any mob or player enemies within a 12 block radius are also fully healed. This makes it very difficult to use during battle. This power was also inspired by a Skyblock Radiant radiant orb that was used by Techno in the uprising against Dante. The con, Golden Diet, is also inspired by the Phoenix myth. Phoenixes don't eat berries or bugs like regular birds. They consume expensive incenses and perfumes like frankincense. There's no Minecraft equivalent, so I just went with bad hunger and saturation on most foods except for the pricey golden apples and carrots. Besides, as soon as Techno is wealthy enough, he typically eats golden food anyway. This will be difficult to overcome early on, especially with the certain fox thieves in the server. Of course, referencing to good old Fundy who's been stealing everyone's stuff lately. The origin includes water weakness because phoenixes are fire birds. In direct sunlight, the water equals out the Helio's blessing and the player swims without any increase or decrease in speed. However, water will cause a 50% decrease in speed while in the rain, at night, and under ceilings. Again, this is something that would be frustrating for Techno because he seems to like speed. This would also be a detriment during PvP and chases because the opponent could escape via water or could empty a water bucket in the path of Techno. Final cons are fiery death and fewer hearts. When a phoenix dies in a burst of flame before they are reborn. If a player dies in their smaller form, the block that they died on ignites in flames. This might cause them to lose their dropped items or start fires in buildings and forests. Finally, the phoenix only has 8 hearts overall. They have 5 hearts in their 2-block form and 3 hearts in their 1-block form. I posted something very similar to this last week, but I made a few changes based on people's suggestions. Please let me know what you think. Again, I'm sure Techno will PvP occasionally, but this server's mainly going to be a roleplay one. I wanted to propose an origin that he could enjoy while vibing or acting. I hope to make something that would be an interesting impact on character, interaction and storyline and gameplay outside of battle. Although I made it with Techno in mind, I would like to think that it could also be a good origin for anyone. Are the pros and cons fair? What do you think can be improved upon it? Stepping away from the character and just looking at this in a whole type of thing, like I honestly feel like this is a really strong origin. Like overall doesn't massively affect your average Minecraft playthrough. It won't destroy your ability to do certain activities as it doesn't affect that too much. As well as the fact that it doesn't even have an overall effectiveness to actually hurt or give bonuses to a person's PvP levels with this origin either. Plus there is the flight bits that are very similar to the Elytron origin itself. There are parts where it both differs, where it only takes the flight bits from the Elytron origin. It doesn't have all the bonuses that come with it, instead choosing to come up with its own bonuses and cons in comparison to the Elytron one. There were some people who in the comments and replies of this Reddit post said that it was a bit overshadowing of both Phil's and Tommy's origin. But when it comes down to Tommy's got the most irrelevant and unuseful origin ever. His ideal character arc though is that he's slightly above average in everything he does. And with Phil's, he's got many good cons and pros on his own that will always stand out in comparison to the Phoenix origin. Either way, let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below and what do you think of this origin idea. Make sure to smash the like button down below. Make sure to subscribe. I will be posting a video sometime in the next couple of days going over some more cool mods that I found to go along with the Origins SMP. Until next time guys, I'm going back to the dark place which I once came. Either way, goodbye.